Hello and welcome to Mike's Garage. Before we get started today, I'd like to say something. I'm not going to say much about it, but I'd like to say I wish, I'm sure we all do, a fond farewell to Mr. Arlen Ness. Considered the king of custom bikes. And it's a tremendous loss to the industry, to all of us who are into motorcycles. And I'd like to say that he was not only the king of custom bikes, he was a real nice man, a real gentleman among gentlemen. Okay, that's all I wish to say about that today. What we're going to do today is some routine maintenance. We get a lot of comments, and I've been asked questions about routine maintenance, and so I'm just going to do a quick overview. I picked the knucklehead to do this on because there's not much on it, and it's easy to see all the places that need attention. And the first thing on the list, of course, is the Springer front end. This is an XA Springer. They were used on military bikes. I believe about 1,000 of them were made. They were the old military 45 with opposed cylinders, and the XA front end was longer to get more ground clearance in North Africa. And I think, I may be wrong, but it's about 2.5 inches longer than the standard Springer front end of the day. Okay. First thing you want to do, if we're going to lube this front end, is raise the bike. Now, I'm not going to raise it much, just enough, if you can see the rockers move here, to take the load off of these rockers. Now, with the load off of it, that'll enable the grease to get in and around these studs where the rockers are. Now, we don't have to go crazy with this, but I'll put grease in it until I see grease coming out. Now, I can see grease coming out, so I know I got enough in there. Doesn't take a lot, and it hasn't been that long since I lubed this thing. But you can see it coming out in here and out here. So we got that done. We can do it on both sides, but before we go over there, we're going to put a shot of grease up here. That's where the stud slides up and down in there. Now we'll go over to the other side and get the rockers on this side. Same thing. And they're taking their grease. Whoops, that one doesn't seem to want to. And boy, am I glad. Now I can show an old mechanic's trick that my dad taught me. When that Zerk fitting won't take its grease, put a rag over that Zerk. Put a rag over it. And there it goes. We've got it. Okay, I think the grease gun's running out of grease. Nah, couldn't be. I know there's grease in there. There it is. There it is. Okay. Haven't filled the gun lately. Now, the only downside of any of this is that you get grease all over stuff and you're trying to keep it clean. But this is the way old machinery was. It's the way old machinery is. Everything on it was made to lube and maintain properly. Modern stuff doesn't do that anymore. Modern stuff, they just, when it wears out, you replace it. As long as we're on the front end, let's give a shot of grease to the front wheel here. There's a Zerk fitting right there. Some people say grease fitting, some people say Zerk fitting. Zerk is spelled Z-E-R-K. And we have a grease fitting in the, or a Zerk fitting in the middle of the hub, and we have one to the outside. And we've got it. Now, if you have a front brake, there's also a Zerk fitting on that, which we don't have a front brake on this bike. Next thing is the brake linkage. The pedal gets a shot of grease, and we can feel it in there. You go back here to the cross shaft of the rear brake, and you give that some grease. There we go. You can see it coming out over here. Now, we also have these pins. Now, I'm not going to pull them out because it'll take too long on the video. But basically, to remove those pins, coat them with grease and put them back in, makes all the difference in the world. Now, that's all there is on this side of the bike as far as grease fittings are concerned. So let's go to the other side of the bike. And we can't get on. I know this one here, I have to take it apart every time. This fitting is so far down in there, it's hard to get to. And so I have to take it apart to lube it. It's a custom item, and it has to be taken apart. Now we can also give the mouse trap a shot of grease right here. And lubing the rear wheel is exactly the same as lubing the front wheel, but we do have a brake on this one. So we have a Zerk fitting back in here where the brake lever hangs down. Did I leave that rag on the other side? Yes, I did. I got it. So we can get in there. I don't know if you can get a shot of this or not, Fred. But the Zerk fitting is right down in here. Can you get it? And that's for the rear brake. Okay, at the same time, we have all those little pins to remove and grease. Also, if you have a seat post sliding up and down, there's a Zerk fitting here on the early models. And we don't have one on this one because we don't have a spring post in there. And the later model ones have a Zerk fitting on the down tube, on the seat post of the frame, on the other side. And that pretty well takes care of it for Zerk fittings. The way I was taught growing up, and it still applies, anywhere you have metal rubbing together, you need to lube it. Everywhere. Other than that, going over, and of course we showed kickstands already. This one's all freshly lubed and in nice shape. We've shown that on another video. But this is just routine maintenance. This is not adjusting everything. This is just lubing it and seeing that everything is tightened down. You want to tighten down your motor bolts, motor mounts on top, and just check everything that's sticking out. People don't realize, or a lot of people don't realize, people who ride them a lot do. Rigid frame bikes take a big beating just running down the road. Everything gets jiggled and rattled, and today's freeways are rough, and it pounds this stuff. And you need to go over it and tighten things. One of the most important things to tighten down is the transmission. Now the transmission sits on its plate, but it's got bolts under here. You just want to get a socket on them and just snug them down. Make sure they're good and tight, and everything stays happy. Now, I was taught many years ago that the best way to tighten down a trans is from the left side, got both of them over there, to the right side. Now, I'm really surprised. I haven't done these in a while, and they're taken down a little bit. So, lucky me. Let's see, now this oil line is in the way, so I'm gonna have to slide in here with another wrench. Haha. I'm gonna have to get another tool to do that, but I'll do that. We don't need to do that on the video to show it's been done. Another thing, when you don't have the time to pull each one of those little pins, give them a shot of something good. Some good spray oil that's maybe got Teflon in it. All that stuff loves to be lubed. So that pretty well covers some routine maintenance. Again, I get asked these questions, and I hope that answers them. At the same time, it's your opportunity to look the bike over. Look at your fuel line, make sure it's in good shape and not leaking. Look for leaks that you can repair. Just look everything over, tightening all of your kicker cover nuts, cam cover screws, all these things to make sure they're all tight and not going to fall off when you're out on the road. So I hope this helps somebody. Also want to check your ground cable, check your battery connections, make sure everything's up to snuff. You'll be glad you did. So again, I hope this is a help to someone, and this thing probably wants to go for a ride after I go over it a little more. So maybe I'll see you out on the road. Bye now.